The first thing he remembers is the light. Not soft, not warm, but blinding surgical, mercilessly white, pouring down from above like judgment itself, cutting through the darkness and forcing every scar, every bruise, every trembling breath of his body into full display, as if he were not a man, but an object, something to be evaluated, priced and owned. Lin Che doesn't remember how long he's been here. Hours, days, or maybe longer. Time doesn't move inside a cage, especially not one made of glass. Transparent walls surround him on all sides, pristine and spotless, like a museum exhibit. Except the thing being displayed is alive, barefoot, bloodied, and shackled at the throat with a thin black collar that hums faint lie every time his pulse spikes too fast, as if even his heartbeat is something that needs to be controlled. Outside the cage they are watching. Rows upon rows of figures sit in the darkness, their faces half hidden, their eyes glowing faint, lie in shades of crimson, gold, and unnatural silver. Their stillness too perfect, too predatory to belong to anything human, and yet dressed in tailored suits, silk gowns, polished shoes, as if civility were nothing more than a costume stretched tightly over something ancient and hungry. A low murmur ripples through the room, not conversation, appetite, and then a voice cuts through the air, smooth, professional, detached. Ladies and gentlemen, the host says, standing beneath the spotlight, with a practiced smile that never reaches his eyes, we now present the final lot of tonight's auction. A pause. Deliberate, measured, the room leans forward as one, an unmarked, pure blood source. For a single second silence, then chaos. The reaction is instant, violent in its restraint, like a room full of predators suddenly catching the scent of fresh blood. After centuries of starvation, bodies going rigid, fingers tightening against armrests, eyes sharpening with something dangerously close to frenzy. Inside the cage, Lin Che feels it. That shift, that invisible pressure crashing down on him from all directions, thick and suffocating, like being submerged in deep water. Like every single gaze is a hand pressing against his skin, peeling him open layer by layer, without ever touching him. His breath stutters, the collar at his throat pulses, pain-sharp. Electric lashes through his nerves, forcing him to his knees. A reaction. They like reactions. A soft laugh echoes from somewhere in the dark. Look at him, someone murmurs. He doesn't even know what he is. Untouched, another voice says, lower horse with hunger, no marks, no prior claim, impossible. Then why is he still alive? Because someone wanted to sell him. Properlya. Ripple of dark amusement. The host raises a hand, and the noise settles instantly. Shall we begin? The first number appears on the screen behind him. Hi, already obscene. But it doesn't matter. 5 million, 10, 20, 50. The bids don't climb, they detonate. Voices overlapping, sharp and urgent now. No longer pretending to be refined. No longer hiding the edge beneath, as if the thin layer of civilization is peeling away in real time, revealing something feral underneath. Inside the cage, Lin Che presses his palm against the glass. Cold, unyielding. His reflection stares back at him, pale, shaking eyes wide, but not broken yet. Not yet. He doesn't beg. He doesn't scream. But his voice, when it comes, is raw. Let me out. No one answers. Of course they don't. Because to them, he isn't speaking. He's breathing. And breathing is just another form of offering. 80 million, 100, 200. The numbers spiral higher, faster. Each bid carrying more than money status. Dominance, the right to claim something rare. Something dangerous. Something no one else can have. The air grows tight, unstable. Like something is about to snap. And then it stops, not gradually, not naturally, but abruptly, as if an unseen hand has reached into the room and pressed pause on everything. No more bids, no more whispers. Even the host freezes mid-motion, because someone has spoken. Not loudly, not forcefully, but with accurate certainty. That does need volume to be OBI'd. From above, from the private balcony she led behind darkened glass, a place no one has looked at all night, until now. 10 billion, 2 words, 1 number. An absolute silence follows. Not shock, not disbelief, recognition. Every single head in the room lowers. Instinctively, like prey acknowledging a higher predator. Like subjects before aching they never question. The host swallows, the smile finally cracking at the edges. Confirmed, he says, voice tighter now. The buyer has been decided. No competition, no hesitation, no one dares. Because everyone here knows exactly who sits behind that glass. And more importantly, what happens to those who don't yield. Inside the cage, Lin Che doesn't understand the hierarchy. The power, the invisible rules that just see, led his fate in less than a second. But he feels it, that shift again. Stronger this time, sharper, like the entire room has stepped back. And something far more dangerous has stepped forward. A soft click echoes. The lock on his cage releases. The door slides open, but no one enters. Instead, footsteps, slow, measured. Approaching from above, from the shadows. Descending, each step precise, controlled. Like whoever is coming has never rushed. A single moment in his existence. The air changes with him. Temperature dropping, sound thinning. Even the faint hum of the collar at Lin Che's throat stutters, as if the device itself is hesitating. And then he appears, tall, composed. Dressed in black, so clean it seems to absorb the light itself. Every line of his figure sharp, deliberate, untouched by chaos, untouched by hunger, at least on the surface. His face, calm, too calm, eyes dark, unreadable. But the moment those eyes land on him, something breaks, not outside, inside. Lin Che feels it before he understands it. A sudden violent spike in his pulse. The collar screams. Pain explodes through his body, forcing him forward. His hands slamming against the glass as if trying to escape something that isn't even touching him yet. Because that gaze, it isn't looking at him like prey. It isn't looking at him like a person. It's recognizing him. And that's worse. Much worse. The man stops just outside the cage. Close enough now. Too close. For a long second, neither of them moves. The entire room holds its breath, watching, waiting, and then the man finally speaks. Low, controlled, but carrying something underneath that no one else in the room has ever heard before. Open it. The door is already open. But the command isn't for the cage. It's for everything else. For distance. For restraint. For the last fragile barrier between control and whatever is about to happen next. Lin Che lifts his head, breath unsteady. Vision blurring at the edges. But still defiant enough to meet that gaze head on. Even as his body betrays him. Even as every instinct screams at him to look away. To submit, to survive. Don't come closer, he says. Voice shaking but unbroken. A pause. Just a fraction of a second. And then, the man steps in anyway. Slowly, deliberately, like crossing a line he has never crossed before. And the moment he enters the cage, everything changes. His control. His breathing. His eyes. For the first time, the mask cracks, just slightly, but enough. Enough for everyone to see it. Enough for Lin Che to realize, this man, this untouchable, unreachable, perfectly controlled predator, is losing control because of him. And that is the beginning of something far more dangerous than captivity. The second thing Lin Che remembers is silence. Not the kind that soothes, but the kind that watches. He wakes up slowly, consciousness dragging itself back piece by piece through a haze of exhaustion and dull. Lingering pain, his body heavy, limbs unresponsive for a moment too long, as if even movement here requires permission. He has untabbed, granted. No chains, no glass, no collar. At least, not visibly. The ceiling above him is high, pristine, painted in soft, neutral tones, warm light spilling gently across the room, filtered through sheer curtains that sway almost imperceptibly with controlled airflow. The kind of environment designed not for comfort, but for containment disguised as luxury. A cage, just without bars. His fingers twitch. He's lying on a bed, real, soft, too soft. The sheets are clean, expensive, untouched by anything except him. And that's the first wrong thing. The second is the door. No handle on the inside, of course. Lin Che lets out a slow breath, pushing himself upright, despite the way his muscles protest, every inch of him still remembering the violence of being displayed, evaluated, sold owned. The word hits him harder now. Owned. His jaw tightens. No, he mutters under his breath. Voice hoarse, but steadier than before. Not happening. He swings his legs off the bed. Stands. The room doesn't react. No alarms. No restraints. Nothing stops him. That's the third wrong thing, because something like this would never rely on something as simple as a locked door. He takes one step forward, then another. Testing, waiting, nothing, until he reaches the edge of the room. And the world flickers. It's subtle. Barely there, but enough, like a thin, invisible film stretched across the air itself, distorting light for just a fraction of a second as his hand passes through it. And then pain, sharp, precise. Not enough to injure, just enough to warn. Lin Che jerks his hand back instantly, breath-catching as the sensation lingers. Not on his skin but deeper, like something reached into his nerves and squeezed. So that's how it is. No visible cage, but a perfect one. He huffs a quiet, humorless laugh, running a hand through his hair, pacing once, twice, mapping the invisible boundaries with careful movements. Each step measured now. Each breath controlled. Think. Don't react. That's how you survive. But then, the door opens. No sound, no warning, just open. And he knows who it is before he turns. Because the air changes again. That same suffocating stillness from the auction. That same unnatural drop in temperature. That same pressure. You're awake. The voice is low, even untouched by urgency. But something beneath it has shifted, something tighter, thinner. Like a thread pulled too far, but not yet snapped. Lin Che turns slowly, and there he is. Shen Di, standing at the threshold, like he owns not just the room, not just the building, but the space Lin Che is breathing in. Dressed differently now, less formal, but no less controlled. Black shirt sleeves slightly rolled. Collar open just enough to suggest ease. Except nothing about him is easy. Not the way he stands, not the way he looks, and definitely not the way his eyes lock onto Lin Che. And don't move. For a second, 2, 3. Too long, like he's confirming something. Or fighting something. Lin Che feels it again, that spike. His pulse stutters violently in his chest. Breath hitching as an invisible weight presses down on him, heavier with every step. Shen takes into the room. One step, then another slow measured dangerous. Stop, Lin Che snaps. Instinct kicking in before logic. His body already shifting back, putting distance between them, even as the room offers now here to run. Don't come any closer. Shen does not stop. Of course he doesn't. He crosses the invisible boundary, and this time he reacts. It's small. So small most people wouldn't notice. But Lin Che isn't most people right now. He's watching, because his life depends on it, and he sees it. The moment Shen Yi's breathing changes, the moment his shoulders tense just slightly, the moment his eyes darken, not metaphorically, actually, like something underneath the surface is pushing forward, something that doesn't belong in a controlled, human-shaped shell. Interesting, Shen murmurs, almost to himself. His gaze drags slow, deliberate over Lin Che's face, his throat, the faint marks left by restraints that are no longer there, as if memorizing, analyzing, cataloging every detail. With unsettling precision, your condition, he continues, voice quieter now, is more unstable than expected. Lin Che lets out a short, incredulous laugh. My condition, he repeats, disbelief cutting sharp through the tension. You kidnapped me, threw me in a cage, sold me like I'm not even, I bought you. The correction is instant, cold, absolute. And for the first time, there's a crack in Shen Yi's control. Not loud, not explosive, but there. Because the moment the words leave his mouth, the air shifts. His gaze sharpens. His restraint tightens. Like he said something he wasn't supposed to say. Like the truth slipped out, and now it's too late to take it back. Lin Che goes still, not out of submission, but calculation. Right, he says, slowly, voice lower now. Steadier eyes never leaving Shen Yi's. So what now? A beat, silence, stretches. And then Shen steps closer. Too close. Close enough that Lin Che can see it clearly now. The control breaking just at the edges. You stay, Shen, this says simple direct, like it's already decided. Like it was never a question. Lin Che's jaw tightens. And if I don't? Another step. Now they re-close enough that Lin Che can feel it. That pull. That unnatural, suffocating tension in the air between them. Like gravity itself has shifted direction, dragging everything toward a single point. Toward him, toward Shen. Shen tilts his head slightly, considers him, not as a person, but as a variable. A demonstration. Then he says softly, before Lin Che can react. Shen reaches out, fast, too fast, too fast. His fingers close around Lin Che's wrist, and everything explodes, not physically, not outwardly, but inside. A violent surge tears through Shen Yi's body, his control snapping tight in an instant as his breath hitches, sharp, sudden, uncharacteristic, as if he shouldst touch something he should enthave, something dangerous, something addictive. His grip tightens involuntarily, too tight. Lin Che gasps, not from pain, but from the shock of it, because he feels it too. That connection, that pull, like something just locked into place. Shen freezes. Completely. For 1 second. He doesn't move, doesn't breathe, doesn't speak, and then he lets go. Abruptly, like he's been burned. He takes a step back, then another. Distance, fast, necessary, his expression. Controlled again, but only barely. I see, he says, voice lower now. Rougher at the edges than before. Lin Che stares at him, chest rising and falling unevenly, his wrists still tingling, pulse racing in a way that has nothing to do with fear anymore. What the hell was that? He demands. Shen doesn't answer immediately. He's watching him again, but differently now. Not assessing, not evaluating, recognizing, confirming. And beneath that, something far more dangerous. Need. You, Shen says finally, each word precise, deliberate, like he's locking the truth into place as he speaks it, are not leaving this place. A pause. His gaze darkens. And from this moment on, another step back, like he's forcing himself to create space, to ensure stability. His jaw tightens. Just slightly. You will remain under my direct supervision. Lin Che lets out a dry laugh. Supervision. He repeats. You mean captivity? Shen doesn't deny it, doesn't argue, doesn't soften. Call it what you want. A beat. And then, the real line. The one that changes everything. Your blood, Shen says quietly, is the only thing keeping me in control. Silence, Heavy, absolute, Lin Che blinks. Once, twice. You're joking. Shen that doesn't smile, doesn't react, which is answer enough. And if I refuse? Lin Che presses, voice sharper now, pushing, testing. Because that's the only leverage he has left. If I don't cooperate. Shen holds his gaze, unblinking, unyielding. And for the first time, honest, then I lose control. A step closer, slow, deliberate. And when that happens, his voice drops. Lower, colder, more dangerous than anything he's said so far. I won't be the one who suffers first. The implication lands hard, not a threat. A fact. Lin Che's breath catches, because he understands now. This isn't just captivity. This isn't just ownership. This is dependency, mutual, unstable, and already too deep. Shen turns slightly as if to leave, as if the conversation is over, as if everything that needed to be said has already been decided. But at the door he stops, just for a second, without looking back. He adds almost under his breath, "Don't try to run." A pause, then quieter, tighter. "I won't be able to stop myself next time." The door closes, soft, final. And inside the room, Lin Che stands alone. Free to move, free to breathe, free in every way that doesn't matter. His gaze drops slowly to his wrist, to where Shen touched him. The skin looks normal, unmarked, but the sensation is still there, lingering, like something invisible has already begun to spread. "Great," he mutters under his breath, a hollow edge creeping into his voice despite himself. "So I'm not just a prisoner." A pause. His fingers curl slowly, tight. "I'm a drug, and somewhere beyond the walls, something that has never needed anyone." He's already starting to crave him. By the time Lin Che realizes he's no longer afraid, it's already too late. Not because the danger is gone, but because he's begun to understand it. Understand the rules. Understand the weakness. Understand him. Shen Di. It starts small. Everything dangerous always does. A longer glance. A step that lingers just a second too close. A hand that doesn't pull away fast enough. At first, Lin Che tells himself it's strategy. Observation, survival. If Shen needs him, then that need is a weapon, and weapons should never be wasted. "You're shaking." The words fall lightly into the air, almost casual, as Lin Che leans back against the edge of the table, arms loosely crossed, watching, not resisting, not running, watching. Across from him, Shen Yi stands perfectly still. Too still, like something inside him is being held in place by force alone. "I'm not Shen," the replies, flat, controlled. Lie. Lin Che's gaze drops deliberate. Slow down to Shen Yi's hand, the fingers. Tense, barely, but enough. "You are," he says softly, tilting his head just slightly, voice lowering into something almost curious. "Every time you get close." Silence, heavy, Shen doesn't respond. But his eyes darken, again. That flicker, that crack, And this time, Lin Che doesn't step back. He steps forward, just one step, testing. The air tightens instantly, like a string pulled too hard. Shen Yi's breath catches, barely audible. But Lin Che hears it. Of course he does. Because now he's listening for it. "Does it hurt?" Lin Che asks. Quieter now. Gaze locked onto him, studying every micro-reaction like it's Stota, like it's something he can map, control, use. No answer, so he takes another step, closer. Too close. If it does, he continues, voice almost gentle now, almost concerned. "You should stay away from me." A pause, then the shift, slow, subtle, but irreversible. Or, Lin Che adds, the corner of his lips lifting, just slightly. "Not Ismael, not yet. But something close. Maybe you just don't want to." And that hits harder than anything before. Because for the first time, Shando reacts immediately. He moves fast. Not away toward him, closing the distance in a single step. His hand snapping out to catch Lin Che's shin, forcing his head up, forcing eye contact, forcing control back into a situation that is slipping too fast. Careful, Shanda says, voice low, tight, something dangerous, threading through it now, something that wasn't there before, something that sounds a lot like warning, and a lot less like control. You replaying with something. You, Dan, Tunder, stand. For a second, they're frozen like that, close. Too close. Breath mixing. Tension coiled so tight, it feels like the air itself might snap. And then, Lin Che laughs. Soft. Under his breath. Not afraid? Not anymore. No, he says, quietly lifting his hand and placing it over Shen Ye's wrist. Not pushing away, not resisting. Touching, deliberately. I think I understand perfectly. The effect is immediate, violent. Shen Yi's grip tightens involuntarily, his entire body going rigid as something surges through him. Fast and brutal and impossible to ignore. His control cracking, not at the edges this time, but straight through the center. His breath stutters, his eyes flash. For a split second, something inhuman breaks through completely. Something ancient and starving, and no longer patient. And Lin Che feels it, all of it, the hunger, the restraint, the breaking point. And instead of pulling away, he leans in, closer, close enough that his voice barely needs sound. See, he whispers a beat. His fingers tighten just lightly around Shenda's wrist. You need me. That's the moment it changes. Not the power not yet, but the balance. Because for the first time, Shanda doesn't immediately push him away, doesn't step back, doesn't regain control. He just stands there, breathing unevenly, holding on too tight, and then everything breaks. Alarms. Sharp, sudden, violent. The entire building shifts in an instant, lights flickering from warm gold to cold emergency white. A low mechanical voice cutting through the space with sterile urgency. Security breach detected. Containment protocol initiated. Lin Che freezes. Shen Ye's head snaps toward the door. And for the first time, something like irritation flashes across his face. Not fear. Not concern. Irritation. Stay here, he says. Immediately. Command. Automatic. But Lin Che smiles. Actually smiles this time. Because he hears it. The difference. The crack. The lack of certainty. What Lin Che says lightly, tilting his head, tone almost teasing now. You relieving your only source of control alone. A beat. Shen Yi doesn't answer, which is answer enough. The door bursts open. Not smoothly this time, not controlled. Forced, and the moment it happens, the temperature drops, not like before. Not gradual, not subtle, sharp, violent. Cold enough to bite. 3 figures step inside, not vampires. Not exactly human but armed. Eyes sharp. Movements precise. And at the front, a familiar face. Lin Che. The name cuts through the room like a blade.